Okay, Star Trek The Original Series Retro Review, The Children Shall Lead. After this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. This episode is something I believe that has given the third season of Star Trek its bad reputation. It is one of the... Spock's brain was probably one of the worst. Turnabout Intruder, probably in that top 5. This one, I don't know if I would put in the top 5 of the worst, but it certainly was not a very good episode when it comes down to it. First of all, the casting on this, Melvin Belli, who was a famous defense lawyer, was cast on here because he was basically a friend of Fred Freiberger, who's the line producer of this season. And Roddenberry, once again, being a person who came into the office once a week just to pick up his check and was working on pilots for other shows and script treatments for other shows and not doing much of anything with regard to Star Trek at that time. So without his rewrite abilities and even much of a commentary on what shows would be picked to produce, they come up with this turkey. You get a bunch of children from Central Casting, and you give them powers that are influenced by this spirit of a race of dead warriors, and they cause everybody's anxiety to keep them from flying the ship properly. Sulu is scared that the knives will come and stab the ship. Chekhov is afraid that he'll be accused of not following orders. Uhura thinks she'll be ugly. In all of this, it was one of these kind of things that was a dead-end story. Are the children going to take the Enterprise? They're going to go to Marcus 12 and they're going to destroy everybody and then kill everybody in the Enterprise? Sure, that's going to happen. So where do you have any character development? Where do you have any storyline otherwise? And the solution to it was about as improbable as the outset of it. Whereas all the children had to do was to be convinced that their parents are dead. They knew that when they left the planet. They were there when the funeral happened. If they didn't cry then, why did they do it when they played back the tape of it? Why is it that Kirk knew Gorgon's name, although it was never mentioned to him? Or to anyone for that matter. The children never called him by that. He was just the friendly angel. So how did they find the name except by reading it off the script? Stupid little things like this shouldn't have happened. That should have been fixed in a rewrite at the very least, if the show should have been produced at all. The general idea of Ghosts in the Machinery is something that they played with a little bit with the Jack the Ripper episode where Scotty is accused of murdering women. They've taken that a little bit, but it's not as scary. It wasn't as effective, really. Melvin Belli had never acted before this. This is the first show or movie he'd ever been in. He might have been in a couple of others after this, but Star Trek up to that time was the first time he was ever on television, and all he did was stand there and apparently read off a card or something. It wasn't really even very impressive for that point. So I find that this is just kind of a junker episode. It has a few things that do not seem to be possible for Spock to do. He was able to do a mind meld from across the bridge to the captain. The captain was able to completely overcome whatever it happened to the whole rest of the crew without any real explanation for how, except just his incredible force of will. Oh, yeah. So there's that. And then... nobody even thought about putting a stun setting on some people and just taking control of things themselves. I mean, the captain is perfectly willing to, work the ship himself if he has to. But a lot of these little things that could have ended the show too soon, I suppose, were just not included in this. So not on my recommended list to watch. The children who played these parts, I don't think they went on to anything bigger. They probably all got into, real jobs and got out of show business, which would be good for them. But they may have played other parts. I think they probably did play, on Family Affair and some of the other shows of the 60s. But most of these people, when they became adults, decided that there were better things to do than to spend all their time on TV sets. All right, so I'd like to know what you think about all of this, and please put it below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And remember that we have the last episode of Lower Decks coming up on Friday, as well as another episode to review of Babylon 5. And we're keeping a watch on the first Doctor Who special, which is probably going to happen in a couple of weeks. However, there is some indication that sometime next week there is going to be some kind of either big announcement or perhaps a mini-sode or something like that. We don't know exactly, but we're keeping a watch on that, and we will, of course, update you on it as we find that out. So, thank you for joining us, and until we talk to you next time, don't go far.